Okay, perfect. Alrighty, so thank you so much, Andy, for announcing me. It is such a pleasure to be here. I know that this is our last session. Y'all are like, oh, I'm tired. When are we going to get out of here? But it has just been so good information all day long. So I hope that I leave y'all empowered today, encouraged, and with some energy walking out of here, and just some excitement. Just with all of the speakers have just been incredible. So as Andy mentioned a little bit about my work, I am a professor here at UTA, and I help other social workers around the state, focus on clinical work. But it's so exciting to be here because I feel like it's such an open space for me to share my own faith journey. In social work, in our field, in mental health, usually it's like, don't talk about Jesus. And you're like, oh, man, like the thing that's most important to me and my values makes me who I am and my identity, sometimes it can be a little bit conflicting. So what we're going to talk about today is really kind of merging those two, our faith and mental health work, right? So I hope that two things, my two driving points throughout today's session is, one, I want to help y'all navigate with your clients in regards to faith and spirituality. Because sometimes that could be a little daunting to ask and discuss with clients. Two, how to, navigate clinical work when it comes to working with other clinicians, agencies, and maybe even just national regulations and state regulations in regards to our spirituality. So this is going to be interactive, and if I could, I would have all of y'all right here on these first two rows, okay? So don't be shy, because I will literally start walking around, okay? Alrighty, so as Andy mentioned, I do have my own private practice. At the very end, I'll share with y'all some information if any of y'all are interested. I do have Rosa Villalobos, who is my operations manager in the back, so if you have any questions in regards to counseling, you can ask her as well. What I'm going to be reflecting on are these two books. So if you want to order them online, they're like $9 on Amazon. So I will be referencing a lot of these books, also some scripture. But one of these books is Descriptions and Prescriptions. So it's a biblical perspective on psych diagnosis and medications. And the second one is Grace for the Afflicted. So it's like a clinical and biblical perspective on faith and mental wellness. So these books I love, and I absolutely love to share and with other clinicians that are navigating spirituality. So next page is, we are all freaking out. And don't lie to me. I know sometimes y'all are freaking out, right? Right? Okay, thank you for the honesty and the transparency. So am I, okay? We're all freaking out. We live in a very fast-paced culture here in the U.S., and we just deal with a lot, right? We are constantly hustling, constantly on the go. And I'm going to give y'all some references here that currently at 2025, 73% of adults ages 18 to 40 report experiencing significant anxiety or depression. That's a lot. That's like all of us, right? Maybe like, I'm terrible at math, I'm a social worker. Maybe like 5 of us in this room, okay? Everybody else, we'd be struggling, right? So we're all freaking out. Our clients are freaking out, right? I have experience working with hundreds of women that come to my office, Miss Lindsay, Miss Lindsay, Miss Lindsay. Just before this session right now, I had 7 text messages from a client. Miss Lindsay, I'm freaking out. Miss Lindsay, I think I should leave my boyfriend. What do you think? Miss Lindsay, do you have time to talk? I'm like, oh my, give me 1 second. I'll call you afterwards. Right? So we're all freaking out. It's a lot of anxiety happening in our culture. I work with a lot of young adults, especially working on a college campus, constantly having to bring them back. Let's come back. Let's come back. Let's come back. Right? And unfortunately, us adults, we're setting the example. We're setting the example for our clients. We're setting the example for these young adults that are the next generation of leaders, next generation of clinicians, and we're panicking. We're freaking out, we're panicking, we're worried, we're anxious. So we're going to talk about, what does faith have to do with this? What does faith have to do with our mental health? So I put on here, how does faith play a role in this? Stress, trauma, anxiety, psychotic disorders, addiction, suicide, fear, panic disorder, depression. how in the world is faith playing a role in these things? Anybody? Okay, that's good. Anybody else? How does faith play a role in these? Right there, Pastor. Perfect. It teaches us how to respond. We use our faith to respond to these issues that are happening around us or that we're dealing with, our clients are dealing with. Anybody else? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, that's good stuff. That's really good. So, that energy of like, sometimes it could be a struggle, right? Because we may feel like, do I have enough faith? Do I not have enough faith? Our clients are coming to us, and they're even terrified to talk about spirituality, right? So it's almost like this like elephant in the room that it's like, do I share what I've been hurt by the church, or my parents are pushing religion on me, I don't know what I should do, those type of things. So that's what we're gonna also dive deeper on in regards to opening up the concept of spirituality. My previous role, I almost have this biopsychosocial assessment memorized because I've probably asked over 500 women these questions, right? I have nightmares of it sometimes. And one of the questions is what is your spirituality? And it's a platform, I'm sure some of y'all are familiar with it. It's called Columbus, CMBHS. If you're doing an assessment on there, it's a little drop-down menu. It says, what is your spirituality? You drop down the menu, and guess what? Guess how many options are on there? Just take a guess. 3, 2. There's two questions on there. It's like, no faith, and the top one is Christianity, right? And I remember I would dread asking clients this because I'm like, what if they're not ready to share, or what if they're not a Christian? What if they're agnostic? I don't know. What if they're Catholic? I mean, just what if they're Hindu? I don't know. So I would turn around and be like, I started getting real creative with the question. And I realized that the creativity that I had with this question allowed them to open up in regards to their faith and how it connects to their mental health. So I would ask them, do you believe that there is maybe some type of help out there that can help your addiction? Or maybe some type of spirituality that you connect your heart with, or maybe that you believe in, or something that makes you feel good? We're like, yeah, God, cool, great. So I would be typing that. Or like, no, not really. My parents, they tried putting me in the Catholic Church. I hate that, I'm like, okay, all right, so I just listen to them. So one time a client told me she believes in marbles because they're perfectly round, and they, and I'm just like, incredible. So I'm typing that, right? But the thing is like a lot of clinicians these days dread asking that question. They avoid the question of spirituality. They avoid the question of faith or a higher power, because we're told, don't talk about Jesus, don't talk about God, just don't do it. It just drives me nuts, right? Because it's plays such a big part of every single one of us, whether we're believers or not. It plays such a big part in who we are. So going to this slide here is, as we're mentioning the holistic self spiritually, we have spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical. So all of these play a role into our mental wellness, our individuality as well, what makes us who we are. This can also be a cultural thing. And this is also a big driving point to our spirituality. If you look on here, the spiritual is on the top. And that tells me something. If you pull this holistic self chart, graph, whatever, spiritual always remains on the top, right? Because our spiritual embeds into our mental, our emotional, and our physical. I really like the image that you showed earlier in our previous session of the body and how our body looks after, when many years of taking care of ourselves and the transition that it makes. So we're going to, oh, no. My goodness. So that's hard to read. But using the that was not on purpose. Using the biblical perspective of the diagram that I just showed. If you can't see it on there, but the reference is the Sermon on the Mount. I'm sure you have that in your brain. If you're a believer, I'm sure, being in these rooms, you can recall the Sermon on the Mount. But I want to talk about our favorite homie, Paul, right? Paul taught us a lot of stuff, and sometimes I'm reading through the scriptures. I'm like, man, Paul really went through it for us. He really went through it, right? And dang, I can't, it's hard to read that. I'm so sorry. So the New Testament is really, guess what? CBT. Right? You're like, what? The New Testament? CBT? Yes. The New Testament is a form of cognitive behavioral therapy. Why? Because it is changing identity. So level beliefs are writing one narrative. Paul is an example of someone whose thoughts and beliefs completely shaped his behavior. So when his thinking changed, what changed? His life, his direction, right? So CBT works the same way. When we examine and shift our thinking, our emotions and actions follow. So the New Testament, a lot of it is CBT. So when we're talking to clients, again, with the understanding that clients are also, sharing their spirituality with us. But again, don't shy away from asking that question. What is your spirituality? What do you believe in? Do any of y'all feel comfortable asking that or talking about those things? I mean, unless you work in a faith-based organization, then, it's obviously the foundation of what you're doing. But do any of y'all maybe not work in a faith-based organization and you kind of struggle with that right here? Sometimes, yeah. It is. I did it for 8 years. It was really, really hard. And during that time, the nonprofit that I was at was going through so many changes, really moving more towards the holistic approach, which I also absolutely agree with. But it was kind of moving even away from the 12 steps, the higher power concept of things, which a lot of our clients heavily lean on that are struggling with the substance use disorder. So the biblical perspective is really understanding that mental health goes all the way back to the New Testament. So when humans arrived and all of the things and Jesus created us, guess what was there? Mental health problems. Okay? Mental health is biblical. It is something that we need to focus on and something that we need to share with our clients. Next is, did you know that our other homie, Job, had PTSD, depression, and anxiety? I mean, I don't blame him. If I was Job, I'd be stressed, okay? So I'm going to read this. It's Job was a wealthy and righteous man whose faith was tested when Satan was allowed to take away his children, his possessions, and his health. Those of y'all who don't know Job's story. Though heartbroken and confused, Job refused to curse God. His friends wrongly blamed him, but Job held on to his integrity, questioning why he suffered. In the end, God reminded Job of his greater wisdom, and after Job's humility, God restored his health, doubled his wealth, and blessed him with a new family, showing the power of perseverance and faith through suffering. So on this is on one of the books that I referred earlier. And on here, you see the characteristic symptoms, which is the reoccurrent, involuntary, intrusive, distressing memories. Job was experiencing distressing memories. So the reference was Job 9:27-28. So this is all part of the DSM. So it's basically grabbing the DSM and scriptures, diagnosing Job with PTSD. Interesting, right? I mean, imagine if we diagnosed all of our homies. Imagine what Paul would be diagnosed with, That's, like really. And, another avoidance symptoms, avoidance of or efforts to avoid internal reminders. Job was trying to avoid thoughts and memories. Reference was that in Job 9:27 through 28. So again, this is related to all the symptoms that the DSM is saying for a diagnosis of PTSD. So really trying to merge the fact that mental health and faith go right hand in hand, and that's why I'm such an advocate for the spiritual care network, because the work that's happening here is really showing that we need each other. Faith and mental health need each other. Spirituality needs to make that impact in mental health. A lot of our clients, all these things right here you see on the site, characteristic symptoms, not being able to sleep, flashbacks, memories, and a persistent negative emotional state, feelings of detachment, all of that, I'm sure we all have clients that go through that, right? Clients, some family members, people living in sober livings, just, on their new journey of finding recovery, sleep disturbance, anger, insomnia, no ease, no quietness, no rest, churning inside. All of that is a biblical example of what Job went through and our clients are going through. So this is merging that faith piece and that mental health piece. So, as I mentioned, the fact of the CDC is 73% of adults are experiencing anxiety or depression. That's a lot of people. I mean, we are literally in an epidemic in 2026 here in the United States. I know whenever I went to Europe, everyone there seemed fine. I mean, they were happy. They were just asleep. I was just like, what the heck? I even traveled to my husband's hometown in India, and it was even different. It was crazy, and like here in America, it's like Tuesday, people are just honking at 6 a.m., like, move out of my way, right? There in India, it was like 10 a.m., and everyone was just sitting outside with coffee, and on a Tuesday, I'm like, it's crazy, right? And a lot of our culture feels alone. Trust me, I spend a lot of time on college campuses. I've spent a lot of time in treatment centers. I've spent a lot of time sitting across the couch with clients a week, and they are feeling alone. But the reality is, who's also feeling alone? Us, as mental health professionals. Even as believers, we have moments of feeling alone. But I want to tell y'all is that you are not alone in feeling alone. There is so much power in presence. So my question is, do you feel that people are honest about their mental health? That was a pretty fast no. Why? Are you honest? Like, by show of hands, do you feel like you're like 100% honest about your mental health? Okay, Steph, we love the honesty. Victoria, love the honesty. I can even fully say I'm probably not. I have moments where I struggle. I'm nervous to share that I'm struggling. Being a professor, a business owner, a leader, a supervisor, it's hard to be I am down in the dumps and I don't even want to be here and everything sucks. And, I should probably be on antidepressant, but I don't want to do that. So yeah, right? People would be like, "Are you good, Lindsay? You should probably go home," right? It's hard to be transparent. We have a hard time. Our clients are having a hard time, but there is power in presence. The next question I have is: majority of us in this room are fixers, but does that always feel good? Why? Draining. Tell me more. What else? Well, who said it? It'll break you? It'll break again? If you fix it, it'll break again? Okay. Ooh, people don't ask us how we're doing. That's a big one. All right? What y'all are all saying is so true, is we are fixers, but it does not always feel good. I am positive that today, Thursday, coming to a conference, y'all are away from the desk, away from the patients, away from the clients, away from the emails, but I'm sure your brain is going, right? All of y'all's brains are like, okay, I have to get back with this client. I know this person needs this. I need to respond to this person. This family needed this. I need to go do this for my own family, right? Thinking about all of these things is we need community. I'm literally so big on community. We are not made to live this life alone, and having trusting relationships opens the window of tolerance. It helps us, it helps our clients. So I'm going to give y'all these 3 S's. When we're working with our clients, remember that they need these things. So merging faith, merging mental healthness, our clients need these 3 things. 1, our clients want to feel seen. We want to feel seen as clinicians. And that goes into the community part in Galatians 6:2. Do I have these scriptures memorized? No. But, it's like going into community. The next one is safe. He will never leave us nor forsake us. Do I have that one memorized? Yes. Right? Hebrews 13:5. He tells us, I'm the same today, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. That's like incredible. It's like so amazing that we serve a God who's the same. Because I know I was not the same yesterday. Tomorrow we might get another version of me, right? And, that's just what it is. We're human. But clients want to feel safe. When they're sharing spirituality, they want to be able to land safely with us. When they're talking about their deepest pain, they want to feel seen first. Not, like, what if I was walking around, I'm like, hey, y'all, I have a phone call real quick. Or y'all be like, you're in the middle of a whole speaking, right? Y'all wouldn't feel seen. Y'all would feel dismissed if I'm looking down at my cell phone, if I'm typing an email while you're trying to talk to me, right? Clients want to feel seen, just like y'all mentioned, is you want to feel seen. You want someone to ask you, how are you doing? Safe. The last one is soothed. When I think of that word, I think about, these nephews that I have, and they run up to me, and they just want to be soothed. They want to feel safe. Right? That prayer and that comfort. Philippians 4:6, do I have that one memorized? Yes. Do not be anxious about anything. Do not worry about the troubles of tomorrow. Jesus got you. Something like that. Okay? Right? Something like that. Maybe that was close. So talking about these things is why don't y'all think that there's some times that people don't want to be seen, that we kind of go into this almost like a shelter mode. Like we don't want people to see us. We don't want to be exposed. Whether it be even with our own faith, sometimes we may not want to be seen. Why do y'all think that? Shame, that's a big one. Guilt. Privacy. That's good. So what I have on here is people are scared to be vulnerable. People leave, right? Why am I going to tell you something? You're going to leave. You're like the 4th therapist I've talked to. I'm good. You're getting into sober living. You're getting into treatment. It's like, I've shared my story like 10 times before I even got to your intake office. Like, what else do you need? I'm high right now, right? So it's like that type of thing is like people are nervous. People leave. They feel like a burden, the shame, the guilt. But I'm here to say is none of those things that y'all just said have anything in common with the Spirit of the Lord. Therapy is helpful because it gets everything out on the table. One of the healthiest things we can do is articulating how we feel. I tell my students this: clients will know your faith by your face. Okay, and you're like, oh man, my face be saying some things, right? Clients will know your faith by your face. If you're like, oh man, what do you want? You're back again? Man. Instead of like, I'm so glad you're here. Your colleagues will know your faith by your face. If you're like, just another day, what we got to do here? Instead of like, man, it's so good to see you. Like, what are we going to have for lunch? Or like, how can I help you today? Right? People will know that. If we're upset or if we're not giving that energy, we're not making someone feel seen, safe, or soothed. How are we merging faith and mental health, spirituality and mental health? Again, the shame, the guilt, feeling like a burden, the rejection, none of those things have anything in common with the Spirit of the Lord. Alrighty, so Jesus acknowledges that mental health is part of the human experience and that God is intimately close to those who are hurting. The Holy Spirit, often called the Comforter, works to bring solace and healing to hearts full of grief. So what I have on my notes here is Jesus is the real OG therapist. And I agree to that. You know, he is our comforter. He is our provider. He is our safest place. And a lot of times as clinicians, as believers, we want to reflect that. We do, and naturally, you know, we want people to feel cared for in our presence. We want people to feel loved in our presence. Jesus acknowledges that mental health is real. Through all the scriptures, I have a funny story I'll share with it afterwards, but through all of the scriptures is that he shares with us all his stories that mental health is a real thing. He's our comforter, our provider, and he holds us close to us. So we want to do that, seen, safe, and soothed. Being a comforter is a blessing. All of y'all in this room, I want y'all to scratch the counselor, scratch the clinician, scratch the therapist, scratch the business development specialist, scratch the owner, just remove all of that, doctor, whatever your role is, and I want you to call yourself a comforter. That's how we take care of our clients. That's how we take care of ourselves. That's how we take care of our families. You know, when you think about the word comfort, what do you want to experience when you're just thinking about being comfortable, or comforting somebody? What do you imagine that to be like? Soothing, okay. Trustful, okay. Peaceful, safe. Yeah. Do any of y'all have your most comforting space or place or food? Anything? Bed. Okay. I support that. All right. Any other thing outside of your bed? Anywhere by the water. Okay, that's very comforting. Going outside, touching the grass. I was trying to think of, honestly, I would say my most comfortable place is going to sound so cringy, but it's probably my car. I just like to drive. I'm in my car. It's my time to listen to music, talk on the phone, listen to a podcast, think. You know, it's real chill for me. But I want y'all, when you're imagining your most comfortable place, put your clients in that perspective. Do they think about you? Do they think, you're a comforter? Not, oh, well, she's my clinician. She diagnosed me with this. She prescribed me with that. Now I'm in trouble. And, whatever it may be, you are a comforter first. I'm going to give y'all some guide here as a clinician, and I want y'all to be curious as you're thinking about these things, is when it comes to religion, faith, spirituality, we have to think of one very important key, and that's a cultural perspective. Every single one of us grew up differently. I grew up in the middle of nowhere. Literally, y'all don't even know the name of the town. It's, past San Antonio. If y'all know the name of the town, I'll give y'all $10, okay? South Texas area. But the town that I grew up in was 100% Hispanic. And I would say probably 100% Catholic as well. There was one Baptist church in the middle of the town, and there was 4 families, and my family was one of those 4. Grew up in the same small Baptist church until I came to college. And then I came to Dallas, and it was these big mega churches. I was like, what the heck, right? It was incredible. I'm like, this is so cool. No one's going to know if I come on Sunday. What? That was the coolest part, because growing up, it's oh, no, Lindsay and Leslie not here. So, think about the cultural perspective first. We all have our own cultural background, even when it comes to our faith. As I mentioned, I grew up around majority Catholicism, and I would identify as a Christian. They're very common, but I myself go to a community Christian church in Plano, right? So what I'm trying to say is get outside of the box. Don't draw a circle around yourself as a clinician. Get outside of the box when you're talking to clients about their spirituality. Get curious. A lot of it is a cultural thing. A lot of it is what they've been told, maybe what their parents did. Get inquisitive. What does this mean to you? Right now on my caseload, I have a Muslim client, I have an agnostic client. I've got like maybe, I don't know, Rosie, you'd say maybe like 5 different cultures just on my caseload. Right now, it's incredible. I'm like, I ask them questions like, so how does that work? You know, like, so whenever you pray, like, tell me about it. Like, what do you do? Like, I just love to know. And in that moment, I'm getting curious. I want to know the client. I want to connect with their spirituality. It's not about me. I don't draw the circle. I put it back on them. Get outside of my box. So thinking about, you know, a lot of times we may feel when we're sitting across the couch or when we're talking to clients, a lot of times we deal with our own like spirituality issues or what the new trend is called church hurt. Right? And then we feel like, man, like I've been hurt by the church, you know, whatever, I'm over it. And we kind of, without the client realizing, we're like putting that on the client, right, in their spirituality. I encourage y'all to think about those things of removing yourself from that. Another thing is asking clients, how do you make decisions? What's important in your life? Asking clients, what is your moral compass? That's another creative way that I ask clients about their spirituality. What is your moral compass? What are your values? What's your foundation? What does that look like for you? Usually that gets them talking more about their faith and their upbringing, maybe what their parents taught them or what they saw their grandparents doing. We learn a lot from the people sitting across from us. I was thinking that I was taking notes. Usually whenever I'm with clients, I try to jot down notes, because if you know me, my memory is really, really, really bad. And one client told me yesterday, she was talking, just rambling, and she said, you know, Lindsay, you don't buy the future. You can't buy the future. And honestly, I was stuck on that for like 15 minutes. Everything else she said, I was like, yeah. You know, but I learned from her. Just in that moment, it was like such a learning point for me. I'm like, wow. Like, meanwhile, I'm over here trying to control my future. She just said I can't buy it. So what the heck? You know, so it's like we learn from the client. Stay curious as a clinician. Learn how to ask appropriate questions. Get creative with your questions. A lot of times as clinicians, we have this piece of paper. It's like, hey, go ask the client this, and that, and have them fill this out, and then after that, make your assessment, make your diagnosis after that. It's like, what the heck? Imagine if someone did that to us. It's like, no, why are you asking me that? Right? Get curious. Ask creative questions with the client. A lot of times, clients are angry. They're curious about their faith. A lot of this may be traditional. So we have to understand that clients are also going through their own journey with their faith, especially when they're coming into recovery. I don't think I've found one client that is coming into recovery that is like skipping and hopping for God. Because at that point, they're angry, they're mad. They're like, my children have been taken, my life has been taken, I have no money, I'm pissed, I don't got nothing. Right? They're angry. So we, again, remain curious. A lot of it may be traditional. There's a developmental process that people go through around spirituality. 2 Corinthians 5:17, I do have that one memorized, even though it is up there. But therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come, the old has gone, and the new is here. Remember that this is normal. We have to meet clients right there and help them make sense out of the struggle. We have to be patient around their walk, their spiritual walk. Sometimes people have shame, guilt, and stigma around their own religion. This may be historical. This may be trust issues. This may be trauma issues. You tell them what is true and encourage them to take that next step. Perfect. You know, God's comfort can manifest through prayer, community support, and a deep sense of his presence. Again, if y'all take anything from our last session here, is remove yourself from whatever title you have and remind yourself that you are a comforter. That's what we are. We help our clients navigate their own spiritual journey, their own faith journey. In the beginning, I asked y'all, how does faith play a role in this? Faith plays a role in our mental health by community, safety, being seen, loved, comforted, pursuing us, consistent, connection, and emotional. These are all the things we've been talking about. My favorite thing is I have a real hard time. I was talking to our pastor here in the back, Pastor Eddie, and I told him, I said, I have a hard time not putting my 2 cents in. It's just a bad thing about me. I really need to work on that. But I get real upset whenever people are not emotional intelligent. It just drives me nuts, right? And maybe it's because I'm a clinician, maybe because I've studied this for years, and I'm like, how? Like, you're a grown person. How can you just admit and just be like, I'm sad, I'm mad, I'm happy? I mean, it just drives me nuts. And and then, connecting with others, it's like, well, I don't know how to feel. It's just, I don't know. Do y'all ever get upset when y'all are like trying to understand? Yes, y'all are like, yeah, right? It's frustrating, right? When we trying to understand someone and they're like, I don't know, Miss Lindsay, I don't know how I feel. I'm like, well, so I'm giving them the emotion wheel. What? Just pick one. No, I'm none of those. Oh, okay, well, let's watch a YouTube video. Let's try to find an emotion that you connect with, right? And in the Word, in the Scripture, Jesus was emotionally intelligent toward himself. Emotional intelligence is not optional anymore. If you're trying to be here in 2026, whether you're a clinician, whether you're a parent, whether you're a DJ, okay? It's like you have to be emotional intelligent. It's kingdom work. It's healing work. It's love in action. Jesus knew when to be emotionally intelligent. He knew when he needed to withdraw, pray, express emotion, worship, and grieve. This all tells me is Jesus was giving us examples of how to be human. So us as clinicians can be human and do the same thing to teach our clients who are struggling to be human to let them know it's okay to be human. It's basically what I just said in one big math problem is be a comforter, right? Be emotionally intelligent. Be open about your emotions. Scripture calls us to speak with wisdom. Again, it says many times in his word that we must be emotional. How many of y'all struggle being emotional? One of my homies back there. Okay, we love that energy. All right, but there's one of y'all in this room that struggle being emotional. I appreciate the honesty, and it is hard sometimes, to share man, I'm really having a rough time, or I'm really excited, or because you don't want anyone to burst your bubble or whatever. But again, it is so important. It is being emotional is being wise. When we don't share our emotions, when our clients don't see that we're not emotional, it could be a really dangerous waters to be in. When we're in a relationship with people who are not emotional, gosh, that must be so exhausting, right? I'm sure, because you're like, wait, we're in a relationship when you're not even sharing your emotions. How does that even, that's so challenging. Friendships, you connect, you bond with other humans based on one thing, emotions. We teach our clients that this is part of spirituality. This is your mental health is okay. It can merge with spirituality. Our emotions have a purpose, and that purpose is connecting us to God and each other. So that is, I've got about 10 minutes to spare here, and that's what I want to leave y'all with is that the concept, and pretty much a majority of the speakers highlighted merging faith and mental health. And this, again, this is probably my favorite public speaking event because I can publicly proclaim the scriptures and his word that tells us how to live. But our emotions have purpose. We're comforters, and it's okay to merge both by getting creative, getting curious, kind of crossing over that cultural barrier and asking questions. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. If you're at an agency and they're like, don't ask questions, give them my card and have them call me, okay? Please, because we have to ask, to be curious. That's what makes us really good clinicians. Dig deeper, ask, merge both of them. Jesus was emotional. It's okay to be emotional. He sets that example for us, and we must follow. So do any of y'all have any questions, anything? I'm going to put my barcode up here. This is where to contact me. It has my personal cell, my business information, my supervision information. Any way you need to reach me, that goes straight to my cell phone. I'm going to leave it open the last 10 minutes to questions. You have a question right here? Oh, geez. I really forgot. It'll come to me. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have such a bad memory, but it'll come to me. Okay, any other questions, Sylvia?
So is it Dilly or Catula?
Neither. It is Poteet, Texas. Poteet. It's about maybe an hour out of Catula. Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Any other comments? Any thoughts from this? I hope y'all feel empowered to be emotional right here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. So she asked me, did my faith lead me to be a therapist? Is that kind of, yes and then no. I grew up in the church. Probably from the moment I was in a car seat, my parents had us in church, right out of the hospital, pretty much. So I grew up in the church. I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior, I think like at 7 years old, because I thought it was cool. I just wanted to raise my hand. I was baptized as an adolescent, but it really wasn't until college that, navigating my own grief journey after my dad passed away, I was real, just down in the dumps. And that's whenever I really connected to my spirituality. I was studying social work at the time, so they kind of just really merged in my life. And really just helped me be a better clinician, to this day, a better person. My faith is what, kind of slams me in the face every day of making me realize just to be better. But I would say that my faith does drive the work that I do today 100%. So, Any other thoughts, questions? Yeah. So my practice is called Cornerstone Counseling. It is in an office space right next to HEB in Plano. You can't miss it. It's right there. It's about maybe right on the other side of HEB. I have 4 individuals working with me there in my office space. I have some interns. So if any of y'all are social work interns looking for hours, I got you in my office. I serve individuals, families, couples, adults. I do have therapists that treat children there. I personally, that is not in my expertise. I do take pretty much all commercial insurances there. I do take sliding scale, cash pay, private pay. But my specialty is substance use, as I've been focusing on the substance use world for about a decade now. I focus on relationships, couples, families. But I love. If any of y'all have a referral for me, refer a college student to me, okay? Anywhere between like 18 to 23, that is my favorite. I love connecting with them as they're that's usually the gap that they're, dealing with self-identity and figuring out what their career is, what the next step is, what they want to do. So I love trying to, just connect with them and build that relationship. So can't miss it. I would love to have y'all if you ever want to come by my practice. Rosa will meet you there. Rosa's back there, and she will get you all set up and, introduce you to our practice space. So thank you so much, Eric. And any other thoughts, questions? Nope. All righty. Well, thank y'all so much for having me. I appreciate it.